how to trigger a man's providing and protecting genes and instincts. And yes, this has something to do with the way that you're standing in front of or next to a man. It's a very interesting and fascinating concept, so just make sure that you stay tuned until the end to listen in. So first way that you want to help trigger a man's providing and protecting genes, which are innately wired into every man. Some men decide to reject it and resist that gene and instinct, but I promise you it is there. It is implanted and embedded into every man that God has created. But there are ways that us women can pull that out and help that come alive and trigger that out of these men. And then there are ways that we can sabotage it as well, just as much. So we don't want to sabotage that, right? Every woman has a desire and dream to be provided for by a man, in every aspect, emotionally, physically, mentally, obviously, financially, in every which way, because for generations and generations, women have always been provided for and had to rely heavily on men for their survival, right? So it's embedded into you as the female to desire that you would have a man to provide and protect for you and your child or your future children, right? So one of the ways that you would trigger a man's providing, and this is always a little bit controversial, but it's very real because men are wired to be visual creatures. And that's just going to be simply looking good, looking put together, you know, keeping up with your appearance, looking very attractive and very alluring and feminine, right? You don't want to hide your feminine curves. You don't want to hide your feminine assets, right? Because those are the things that signal to a man that you are a feminine woman and you could possibly reproduce. You have fertility to be able to reproduce and grow a family, right? So it's a very important quality, and our instincts as human beings, all human beings, is to procreate, to survive and procreate, multiply the earth. And so looking attractive and looking the part of a feminine woman is really as simple as it sounds. That's how you're going to be able to attract men, because it's the initial attractive physical appearance that gives men the motivation to walk up to you, approach you, and start up a conversation with you, right? To get to know you a little bit more. It's your assets, it's your curves, it's your health, right? Your health is sensed and read through how you carry yourself, right? It is sensed and read through your face and how vibrant it is, like how glowing you are, your skin, how clear it is, because those things they signal good signs of health or poor signs of health. If you don't take care of yourself, then you'll like be carrying this energy of very bad health. And having poor health is not a good thing for a man who wants to grow a family and reproduce, because that might mean that you might not be able to nourish a child and grow a child in your belly, right? Or that the child will come out sickly and diseased if you look sickly and diseased, okay? So all in all, making sure that you eat well, consume well, you live an active lifestyle, you have a little bit of an active workout routine. Doesn't have to be some vigorous routine like you see influencers doing all over the internet, but it just has to be some sort of activity that you involve yourself in to kind of keep your fitness up, okay? You eat things with high vibrational energy. You eat real wholesome foods, right? You eat things that come from nature, that come from God, because those things carry high vibrations. And when you eat junk and you eat processed, fake junk and sugar, all that stuff, you will be, unfortunately, that is going to be emanating through your body, through your physical manifestation, okay? Because those kinds of foods have low vibrational energy, and then that is sensed through how you carry yourself and project yourself. And so you will be operating in a low vibration. And so when you eat these high vibrational foods, you know, you're going to have healthier hormones. Your stress levels will be at bay. You know, you'll have a healthy amount of stress hormones. Your cheeks and your lips and your eyes will be more radiant and glowing. And these are just very basic signs of healthy and fertile hormones and fertile women to men. And it's all on a very subconscious level. I promise you, men are not going around looking at women thinking, oh my god, she looks so healthy, you know, I bet she has high estrogen and progesterone levels, I bet you she's so happy. Like, they're not going around looking for that and saying that with that language, okay? But it's just subconsciously sensed, okay? Subconsciously read. Okay, so making sure that you take care of yourself. And of course, this is not only just in, you know, eating well and on the inside, even though that is the most important. That's how you get glowing skin. That's how you show up in a good energy, is really nourishing the inside out. But it also has to do with how you dress and how you know, do accentuate your feminine God-given curves. Because unfortunately, a lot of women today are just wanting to hide. They're wanting to cover up. They're wanting to wear all of these big baggy things, you know, these oversized hoodie, these really masculine clothes. And I'm talking like actual man clothes, without, you know, cinching their waist and kind of accentuating their curves, you know, the girls, the booty, the hips, the thighs. All of these are very, very attractive parts of the feminine body. And they are to be embraced in an obviously elegant, tasteful way, right? But yeah, unfortunately, women are just, they want to cover up, you know, they want to hide their bodies because they're ashamed of it. And that's not what you want to do if you want to attract a man. You want to show off your best parts in a tasteful manner and dress according to your body, because dressing to your body is like, you can't see something online and dress according to what looks pretty and perfect on this model on the photos body. You need to dress according to your body, because that might flatter the model, but it might not flatter you, okay? So look good, take care of yourself, you know, nourish yourself from the inside out, carry high vibration by consuming high vibrational things. If you're watching this content and all of my content and relevant content, you are consuming high vibrational things, high vibrational energy, intellectually stimulating content. So that all ties into it as well. But of course, watching what you eat and, you know, making sure that you maintain a healthy diet and lifestyle, okay? Next, another reason or another way that you would trigger a man's providing and protecting genes is that you simply give him grace and understanding, and you are not always to scorn, you're not always the first one to scorn him for his mistakes. You understand that he makes mistakes and he is not perfect, and nobody is ever going to be perfect. Just like you are not perfect, you make mistakes, but you allow him the space to make those mistakes, because one of the, you know, something that you want done perfectly in your head, because maybe you saw it on a TikTok reel, and so you want your man to do the exact same thing, and if he doesn't do it exactly like that, then you get all bent out of shape and scorning him to death for messing something up or not being perfectly on time. Those are the things that kind of sabotage his providing and protecting instincts to you, because he feels this sort of burden that you know, you're kind of putting all of your burden of issues and traumas and baggage onto him, just because he's not simply doing something perfectly in the way that you imagine it to be. And that's a big weight to carry, and it's not something that's not a pleasurable weight to carry, should I say. So you give him grace in those times, and you allow him that space to make those mistakes, because inevitably it will come, inevitably he will mess up and you will mess up just as much, but you don't, you know, beat him down and emasculate him to the core just because he does it. And also it will mirror back to you, right? The same will be done for you, that when you make a mistake, because you're not perfect, he's going to accept it and he's going to be understanding. Okay, so these are really important in triggering their providing and protecting, because they want to be closer to you when you do give them more grace in those situations. But if you sabotage those things, they're just going to pull away and distance themselves from you and from the relationship. And so how can you create providing and protecting, you know, this sort of providing and protecting oracle in the relationship if he's just way off in the distance and pulling away every time you try to talk to him, right? So that's another way that you would help trigger his providing and protecting. And we're going to be moving on to the third way that you would help a man provide and protect for you, because you have the ability and the gift of pulling that instinct out of men. And this is just the most fascinating concept, and I have talked about this on this channel before, and I still to this day think it's so fabulous, and it really does help activate that strong provider in a man. And it is simply how you stand. Yes, how you're standing in front of a man or next to a man when you are speaking to him. So who here understands the importance of body language? Body language is such a fascinating concept because it's the oldest language in the book. Your body language is read, you know, to other people before you ever speak words and open your mouth. It's the first signal of whether you are somebody who is approachable or non-approachable, standoffish or very inviting. And so obviously if you're a woman and you know you are open to men and you have a good perspective of them, and you maybe are dating and you want to get out there and start, you know, kicking butt in the dating world and having really great positive dating experiences, or even if you're married to your man already, either way you want to be inviting and approachable to men, right? You want to signal to these guys that you are open to, you know, hearing what they have to offer you, because you are ready to vet them and what they are willing to do and provide for you, right? So your body language is very, very important. There's a couple things that you definitely don't want to insinuate through your body language, and that is definitely going to be being more closed off and kind of standing with your arms like this crossed and maybe a little hunched over and kind of a sour face. Your energy is everything when it comes to how inviting that you are. It's all carried through your energy. How vibrant your energy is emanating through your body. And so if you're just kind of standing in the corner and you know you really on a deeper level want a man to come up to you and pursue you or start talking to you, like maybe you're in a bar or a restaurant or a public event, standing like this is a very non-inviting way, and any good healthy kind of guy is they're just going to turn the other cheek and go approach the other woman who has a more open and inviting energy. You don't want to trigger his man-to-man competitive part of his brain by staring directly at him, you know, kind of being head to head, face to face, head on with a guy, and kind of equal to him, right? Now, I know that this can be a very controversial concept, especially in the world of modern day feminism, but this is actually very, very strategic and actually a beautiful thing to implement when you understand how men work and how they're wired and how to really pull out the best in them. And that is simply that, you know, these small little subtle things that you can do that are supposed to be organic and non-theatrical can really like change the overall game for you. So simply things like looking up to a guy, like if, you know, not that you always have to be, you know, kneeling down when you're talking to him or kind of sitting down in a sitting position, like not that you always have to make sure that that is, you know, happening, but if you're in the if you're having the opportunity to, you know, kind of be in a more down position from him, and maybe like you're sitting on the couch and he's kind of standing up and you're just kind of like slightly looking up at him, this is very attractive and registers very provide and protect things to the male brain. And it is really that simple, just those subtle things that of looking up at a guy when he's talking to you, and not kind of being equal head on, like I was saying, because that is going to, again, subconsciously register a man-to-man competitive response. How do you think football games are started? I don't know the first thing about football. I don't know what the two guys at the front of the team are called, but basically the guys who, I guess they're linebackers, I don't know. The guys at the front, when they start the game, you know, they're starting really low to the ground, hunched over and face to face, and basically that means they're about to go to competition and, you know, compete with each other to win this game. So, but that is a very it's something that goes back to, you know, this, I guess it would be anthropology, the study of human behavior, and why, you know, where that concept comes from. That's why you really want to try to avoid being face to face with a guy, and any ways that you can make shapes with your body, excuse me, I've been doing this for too long already. Any way that you can make these subtle movements and kind of lean your face over, kind of lean it, like make these shapes with your body, all of these sort of very nuanced, very subtle kind of gestures and body language. This is, it doesn't have to be like, he might not have the language for it, you might not have the language for it, but subconsciously this is going to register to him in a very positive light, that you are female, you need to be protected, you need to be provided for, and you are simply not a man. You don't have male gestures, you know, you don't stand like a man, you don't behave and fight and carry the density that a man does, because a man has all of his dense energy in his upper body region, right? That's where they carry all their masculine energy, and women carry all their feminine energy in their lower womb spaces. Okay, so this is the part of the body where men do the most providing and protecting, and that's why they have the most density up there. So I'm getting off of track here, but nonetheless, how you stand, how you subtly move your body, and, you know, stand in a way that is not triggering in a bad way to the male mind. It truly is a fascinating concept, and all of these little subtle body movements and shapes that you make, like, men are not going to be doing that with other men. They don't make these sort of different movements and shapes with their bodies. The most that they do will be like crossing their legs. But all of this cutesy, you know, stuff of just like kind of you know, all of these fun cutesy body movement things that we get to do, they are going to just relish in that, and you activate more of their provide and protect over you genetics. So ladies, I hope that you found this to be fascinating, just like I do, and helpful to you if you are dating, or you are, you know, in a relationship or married or whatever the case may be. This is still going to apply to you. So make sure you implement these tips today. If you need further help or insight on a situation in your dating life or in your relationship life and kind of understanding your man, I'm here to help you. Just make sure you leave a comment down below or send me a DM or an email. Everything will be listed down in the description box below. Check out my links, check out my dating playbook. If you are kind of intimidated by the dating world, I have a wifey dating playbook that is really going to help you step out there and be confident through the whole process. Until the next video, I will talk to you guys soon. Love you.